Ancient story. It's called the story of Scheherazade. Does anybody here know who Scheherazade is? No? You've not heard of her. Who's somebody? One person. Who's heard of the Arabian Nights? No? Who's heard of Aladdin and his magic lamp? So Aladdin and his magic lamp is a story from a book called the Arabian Nights. And this is a story about how the book came to exist. So long ago, about 1,000 years ago, there was a great city, an ancient city called Baghdad. In those days, people called it the City of Peace, and it was considered the greatest city in the world. Now, in Baghdad, there lived a mighty king, a sultan. His name was the Sultan Shahryar, and he had a beautiful wife as well. Her name was Zobadiah. He loved her very much, but she didn't love him quite as much. She broke his heart. So the king said, I need a new wife, but I'm not sure if I can trust anybody to be my wife, because I don't want to have my heart broken again. He came up with a terrible idea. He said, I will marry a new wife every day, and the following morning I'll cut off her head before I marry the next wife. Then nobody will ever break my heart again. Well, all the women in the city were scared of being chosen, except for one girl who was very brave, and her name was Scheherazade. And she said, I will marry the king, because I've got a clever way of stopping his plan. So she went to the palace, and she said to the king, I will marry you. And the king, the sultan, he was so pleased because Scheherazade was very beautiful. But more importantly, Scheherazade was very clever. And that night she began to tell the king a story. And it was such a good story, the king couldn't sleep. He sat awake all night with eyes as round as saucers, with ears flapping in the wind. He wanted to hear every word because the stories were so wonderful. One of the stories she told was the story of Sinbad the sailor. And that story goes a bit like this. Many years ago in Baghdad, there lived an old man called Sinbad. And he lived in a beautiful palace, and the walls were covered with diamonds. He had a slave, and the slave was very jealous of Sinbad. The slave said, why am I poor, and why is Sinbad rich? It doesn't seem fair. Sinbad laughed at him and said, when I was your age, I had even less than you. I had no money, no job. I lived on the street. But I decided that was not how I wanted to live my life. I was going to go off and make a fortune and make my way in the world. And so he went down to the harbour where he saw a ship. And he said to the captain, please, captain, give me a job. And the captain did. He said, you can scrub the deck of the ship, you can catch the rats for me. We'll see how you get on. Sinbad worked very hard. The captain was pleased. And so Sinbad joined the crew of the ship. And they sailed all over the seven seas. But then one day, the ship got stuck in the sea because there was no wind. It was a sailing ship, and with no wind, he couldn't go forward or back or anywhere. Oh, they wondered what they were going to do for food and water. And then Sinbad saw a small green island. We'll make a camp there, he said. They got in a little rowing boat, they rowed to keep themselves warm. But then the island began to shake. At first they thought it was an earthquake, until Sinbad realized it was even worse. It wasn't an island, no, it was the back of a giant sea monster, and the sea monster was pretty angry, having a fire on his back. He rose up out of the water and tipped them all into the sea. With a flick of his tail, the sea monster flung Sinbad far, far away. The captain of the ship sailed away without him and thought that he had been eaten by the monster. But he hadn't. No, Sinbad swam and swam until he was washed up on a desert island. It was a wonderful island because all the stones on the ground were diamonds. Sinbad thought, I will use the diamonds. I will be rich. I will fill my shoes and my pockets and my hat with them. But then he realized there were no shops there, no bazaars, no markets. How could he use the diamonds? Well, then he realized he was stuck on the island. He couldn't get off. Now, in the middle of the island, he found a big nest full of enormous eggs. And he thought, these must belong to a bird. And soon a great bird flew down. The bird was so big it fed elephants to its babies. This was the giant rock bird. And Sinbad thought, this bird is coming to eat the fruits. I will take all the inside out of the fruit and crawl inside the fruit skin. Maybe the bird will lift me up. The plan worked. The bird carried him up off the island and flew him over many other islands, until at last he saw an island with a palace on it. He jumped out of the fruit skin and he landed beside the palace. Inside the palace there lived another king. Sinbad said to this king, "Can I live in your palace? I will give you diamonds." And the king let him live in the palace. He lived there for many years. He was very happy, until one day he saw the very ship he had first sailed on coming into the harbour. He ran down into the harbour and he jumped onto the ship and sailed all the way home to Baghdad, where he used the diamonds he still had left to build a beautiful palace, and he even stuck some diamonds into the wall to make it look very beautiful. So this is one of the stories that Scheherazade told to the king. Scheherazade finished that story and then started another and another, and then it was morning. The sun rose, the cock crowed, and the executioner with a big axe appeared at the door. It was time for her to have her head chopped off. But she hadn't finished the stories. And the king said, "Oh, you must tell me the end of the story." And Scheherazade said, "I can't. It's time for me to have my head cut off." And the Sultan said, "Well, now, let's see. It doesn't really matter if you live one more night, then you can finish the stories." He sent the executioner away. And so the next night Scheherazade told more stories. But when the sun rose the next morning, she still hadn't finished. And so the executioner was sent away again, and again, and again, morning after morning. She had not finished the stories. Night after night she told more and more ever wonderful tales. In fact, she told stories for 1,001 nights. And after that she said to the king, "Please tell me, am I going to live or die?" He said, "To tell you the truth, I fell in love with you the first night. You've proved to me how brilliant and wise and wonderful and clever a woman can be. I realize I was stupid and wrong." He said, "From now on, your name will mean the Savior of the city. And I will get somebody to write all your stories down into a big, big book, and we will call it the 1001 Arabian Nights. And many, many hundreds of years from now, you will be remembered as the greatest storyteller who ever lived." So that's the story of Scheherazade.